Oh, there's a cat.
I'd be barking too.
Hi guys, and welcome to Fireside Chat with the Johnstons. I'm Danielle.
And I'm Justin.
And we are excited to be here with you guys for our first official episode of 2025.
Happy New Year!
Let's do this.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
Justin, we start every episode off with good news. So what is your good news for the week?
My good news is, well, this episode is being recorded. I can't even
in advance.
Yeah, but recorded right after Christmas. So we had a great Christmas.
Yeah,
it was good. As you get a little older and your kids start moving out of the house, you don't know what Christmas is going to be like. So having them all come home or be home is, I don't know, it's pretty cool. It's the actual Hallmark movie Christmas, you know.
It's like a real Hallmark movie Christmas.
Yeah. You have everything you've ever wanted.
Everything except love.
Yeah, it was a lot more like energy in the house, probably because of one particular child that just naturally has a lot of energy.
Yeah.
So it made it a lot more fun, and we did like games at night and Taco Cat, if you've never played that.
Yeah.
That was pretty fun. So my good news would be we got these like very big surprises of this, you know, like these boxes from Italy from our 2 Italian foreign exchange students that we had the previous 2 years. And they had all of our favorite Italian things in them. And one of them...
Very authentic Italian.
Autentico.
Right? Autentico.
How I say it.
Yes.
And one of them, not only did she, you know, put in a whole bunch of our like treats and stuff that we like from Italy, but she knows I have a Pandora bracelet, and they got me this little charm on there that's a Bialetti, which is like their espresso machine.
It's like their little coffee pot.
Yes, I used to have 2 of them, and then Italian exchange student number 2 melted.
Yeah, melted the handle on it. It had a plastic handle. So,
yeah, she wasn't familiar with the power of a gas stove in the U.S.
Yeah.
So
when the Bialetti is like this big around and the burner is this big, and so it kind of goes around.
And she's trying to make it fast, so it's on full heat the whole time, like almost still ticking.
It was good though.
Yeah, it was awesome. So yeah, we were really excited to get both of those surprise packages, and just reminded us that we've kind of got family all over the world, Italy and Brazil and all over.
Yep.
Yeah. So it was awesome. All right.
Italy and Brazil, all over.
Well, I mean, all over the U.S. as well.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay, you guys. Well, we have a good episode for you today. We have been spending the last week or so outside of the holidays focused on some strategic planning for our gym. And we do this at the end of every year so that we can focus on what do we want to accomplish in 2025 in our gyms.
Also celebrate what you accomplished in 2024.
Yeah. Because
you don't really notice until you really focus on what exactly you did all of the year. Because when you're in the minutia, you don't see some of the bigger projects that you got done. So
yeah. So because we have business partners, I had put it out as a questionnaire to our partners that basically said things like, what do you feel like we did really well in 2024? Did you just lick your Alani can?
No. Why would I lick it?
I don't know. It was
all
weird.
I do is slurp. That's all I do.
Yeah. I'll just pause this moment of the episode for a break from our sponsor. I'm just kidding. Yeah. We don't even have sponsors.
We do this in the morning, so it's a little wake up. I'm not normally that type of person
Justin,
to drink these things.
Justin, you drink Alani all day.
But I do like this once in a while in the morning if I'm having trouble waking up. So
he drinks it.
Really wakes me up in the morning.
Afternoon and evening also. Don't be fooled.
Yeah.
By his health advice.
No, I do not drink that in the afternoon.
You do crack it open at church.
I do. I do take it to church though, because
sounds like he's got a Coors Light or something. And it's
sometimes that sermon is a little long, and you need a little wake me up.
I'm gonna send this.
And then I'm really awake.
I'm gonna send this episode to our pastor, and you're gonna feel so bad.
I'm like, amen. Let's go. All right, let's go. Okay.
Perfect.
So yeah, strategic planning.
So I sent this questionnaire out about the things that we believe that we did well and the things that we feel like maybe are weaknesses that we need to focus on moving into 2025. Now, if you're a single owner, this could be more challenging. You know, a lot of those of you in the academy who are asking like, okay, well, I'm a single owner. How could I do something like this? Like, quite frankly, you have a coach that in a lot of ways would act as that business partner for you, that person who's going to challenge you and ask those questions on what you did well and what you could do better. If you are not in the academy and you don't have someone like that, you're going to have to find a close person. I would not say a parent or a staff member, but a close person in, your affinity circle, whether they're part of your gym or not, that could just ask you those questions. Gosh, go to ChatGPT and say, what questions can you ask me that would help spark my thought.
That's a good one
for next year, so that I can strategically plan and set my goals.
Having trust for other people to help you out in your business that's a really tough one for most people. So I do like the ChatGPT if that's the only thing you're going to do.
Yeah, and
if that's the only thing you're going to do, at least do something and do that. That's actually pretty decent. Yeah.
Well, and there's no substitute for experience. So ChatGPT can give you 1,001 things to do to better your business, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's coming from a place of wisdom. It's coming from a place of everything out on the internet and anybody who's ever published something, assuming that person is correct and wise enough to be posting it in the first place.
But the reason we say this is, whether you've read one book or 100 books on business, they all talk about having a mentor. You need to have somebody that you can bounce ideas off of, that you can talk to about what you're doing, because being an island by yourself out there is a lonely road, and it's tough, and it makes most people give up. So, and if you want to grow and scale and do better, you need somebody to bounce ideas off of.
Yeah.
So, and especially somebody that knows what you're talking about. So not a parent, not a friend, other people in the industry.
So we came up with basically everyone, our other two business partners, our other three business partners completed this questionnaire alongside us. And then we sat down, the five of us, casted it up to a TV and basically said, these are the things that collectively everybody said. And we kind of had everybody go around and kind of explain their answer in some ways. And through that, I kept this list as we were going of these are the common themes. And then Melanie and Angie and I, without the guys, just for the sake of it being over the holidays and scheduling, we kind of sat down and said,
pretty sexist, to be honest. Just be honest. Yeah,
we'll come up with the list of what we think out of those needs to be the top 3 focuses in 2025. And so that's what we did last night. And it just made me think, man, I would love to share those with you guys so that you can see what are other gyms focused on in 2025.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So number 1, our goal is to be more engaging on social media. I know that sounds so basic.
It's pretty basic.
Yeah. We're super consistent. We do 5 posts a day, every day of the week. And if you think that's crazy, we're annoying people, no way, guys.
Well, it's not the same posts.
Right.
And all 5 posts are not hey, come buy our product, come buy our product, come buy our product. That gets old.
How frequently, Justin, do you see the posts that Twisters makes?
I see it, I'd say 3 times. I don't see all 5 of them. Well, not a day, but I say it 3 times a week at least.
Okay, so here's my point to you guys. If you feel oh my gosh, I could never post that much. We're literally putting out 35 posts a week, and someone who has liked and followed the page since day 1 is seeing 3 of 35. So there's no way you can put out too many posts these days, because Facebook's algorithm is going to prevent somebody from seeing and not engaging over and over and over. Right? So we want our stuff to be seen more, which means our focus for 2025 is to build better engagement. And we've got a couple of things we're going to do to make sure we're doing that.
But just pushing out posts is not building engagement, though.
No,
there's a difference between
it's
that.
Step 1, though.
Yeah.
I think you have to get to the point where you can put out an adequate number of posts and just do it. It's not going to be perfect, but imperfect action is sometimes best.
Right.
So if you're on step number 1 of I post every couple days, get to step number 2 of I post consistently multiple times a day.
Right.
And then, so just do it more. And then you're going to focus on kind of where we're at, which is doing it better.
Absolutely.
And one of the ways we're going to do that is focus more on the storytelling side of things. What kind of impact is our gym or our staff or our athletes making on the community? And so you have to do that by telling stories. Melanie does all of our marketing. And as I was meeting with them last night, I said, Mel, let's just do a test and see what we can do. And I pulled one of the first pictures I could find out of our Apple shared album, and I posted it, and I told a story about the coach who was in there. And I said, if you guys don't leave and this doesn't have 15 likes, then I don't know what I'm talking about. And by the time they were ready to leave, it was at 16. And by the end of last night, it was over 50 and with like 8 comments. And so I feel like that's the road that we need to go down next is like engagement.
Right. So most of the stuff that people post, though, is usually a picture with just like a sentence under it, like, hey, congratulations to somebody or something like that. So what do you mean by a story, though? Like how, like, because obviously you're posting a picture again, right?
Yeah.
But then how long is a story? Is it because we know that people have a short attention span to like Reels and TikTok and stuff. It's short, it's quick, it's fast. You move to the next one. So how long is that?
So I think I did 4 or 5 sentences. And the picture that I had was, you could see the back of the coach's shirt. It said Coach Allie. And then she was spotting a girl in a back handspring. And I told a story. Coach Allie just graduated college. She's moving to Minnesota. Who does that?
And she's leaving us.
And she's leaving us. Yeah. And this girl started with us as an athlete in 2014 and made her way through elementary, middle, high school. She did go for 2 years to another gym and came back to us in her college years. Essentially, this girl's been with us almost 10 years.
Right.
I told the story of like, she started out as a gymnast and a tumbler with us and made her way over into cheerleading. And if you know her, she's bubbly and she's friendly. And so if you've ever coached with her or been a teammate with her, you know how much we're going to miss her and how cool it is that her picture will sit on our alumni wall for years to come.
Yep.
Guys, that takes nothing. All I did was describe this girl's personality.
So about 5 sentences or so.
Yeah.
It was a very short little paragraph underneath of it. So yeah.
Yeah. So you don't have to tell this elaborate story. You can. I've actually done it before where it's been like, I don't know, 250, 300 words. And like it got really good engagement. But somehow in the course of just being so busy and trying to get all this marketing done, we've missed that, missed that opportunity.
It didn't sell anything.
No.
Specifically, directly sell anything. But what it did tell people was our hearts and the way the gym feels, our culture, and how we're going to miss somebody that made a big impact on us. So it's an indirect advertising, basically. Yeah. But at the same time, that girl did deserve to have like a little send off and just have somebody talk about her because she was great. So,
definitely. And if you're thinking of this and you're like, man, my marketing person wouldn't know those stories, that's okay. Like I found this, cute picture of a boy in ninjas who was just smiling, cutest little smile. I don't know him. I don't coach that class. So I said, it's as easy as asking the coach a couple of questions about this kid and sending me a voice note or putting a voice note into ChatGPT and saying, help me tell this story. Because a lot of times we're good with the verbal and we're not great with the written. But like there's so many things out there that can help you do that these days.
Oh, yeah. And some of these pictures need to get sent out because they're super, they're just great.
Yeah.
They're super cute. It shows the character and the attitude of people in your gym using your services. And they people need to see that. So. And
how do you get those great photos? We hand an iPhone to a 16-year-old once or twice a week, and for 10 or 15 minutes, say, can you walk around and take pictures?
Yeah, and they do a good job.
Yeah, she does an awesome job.
Turns out they're really good at it, so yeah.
For sure. Okay, so that's our first goal, is to just be more engaging on social media.
Oh, and be specific on the iPhone, because the newer iPhones have a much better picture quality.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're having somebody go out with their iPhone 6 or something, or their iPhone 8, give them your iPhone or something.
Yes.
You'll also get a lot of these in the background, with lots of people. So, just fun ones, though.
Yeah, and if you have an Android, throw it away and get an iPhone. Just kidding.
But really do.
If your name is Angie and you're our business partner, throw it away. Get a new one.
Just
an iPhone 4 is better than your Android.
2025 is a new year.
All right. Our second big goal for 2025 for our gym is to improve follow through.
This is a big one for me, especially. I'm just going to talk on the part of men, but we like to start a lot of projects and not finish them. But it's very typical in a gym to do the same thing. But in the case of the gym, you do want to follow through. In the case of men, sometimes it's not good to follow through because then you end up selling your house. So
you're going to have to explain that to people more. I know what you mean.
Oh, do you know what I mean? Sometimes you still ask me to finish projects, and I tell you every time the only reason you finish a project is right before you sell your home. So if you leave projects done 80% of the way and you never do that last 20%, you're not going to sell the house and you're just going to live in it and enjoy it. As soon as you finish it, then you decide, maybe we should stay in this house. maybe we should stay here. That's what happened the last time we were selling a house. She made me finish all the projects I had ever started. And then she was like, this house is really nice now. I might want to stay. And I'm like, nope, we're leaving. So,
well, if you want to keep me here, that's the only way it's going to happen.
But it's a typical guy thing.
We built our house 3 years ago, and I still have to walk upstairs to the guest shower because my master shower is not yet completed.
It's halfway completed now.
Yeah, he's been working on it recently. And then we had to go to Lowe's and pick out tile. And I was like, I don't care. I'll take that and that. That looks good together. And Justin's like, I just don't think that's going to work. I'm going to have to go up to Kansas City and we're going to have to go shopping for tile. And I was like, nope, I'm not really interested. I just want a shower. So there you go.
I love being married. It's great.
So one of the ways that we're going to focus on this follow through is basically designated one of the owners in the business to be our operations director. This person, every project. Yeah, there you go.
That's a key. So to be on the test.
If you're a single owner, maybe you have to become that person, or you have to designate a staff member to be that person.
Yeah,
but
it's not a difficult position. It's just something that whoever has that character quality of following through and making sure that a project gets done, you need that person. Mm-hmm. Or else, why are we creating these agendas and creating these tasks to do if we're not going to finish them? There's no purpose to
And there's a logistical hurdle. I am probably the best, truly, I think I'm the best person in our gym with the follow through side of things, because I need to see something get finished to be able to check off the box and get that endorphin rush.
Yeah.
But the problem is I'm not there every day. I go in on the days that I coach. I work from home on the days that I don't. We travel a lot in the summer. We do a lot of stuff with Next Gen and with the different conferences. And so I'm not the best person to be in charge of follow through because I'm not there not anymore, because I'm not there to see every project through to completion. I just need to know as the owner it got completed.
Right.
Let me give you an example of this year, how this sort of became one of our top priorities. So our photographer had sent in some, had sent to the gym, some buttons and banners and stuff like that people had ordered. Well, I had a mom a couple of months after those items had arrived who said, hey, mine never came in. And I was like, oh, well, they all got passed out. And so you should email the photographer. Come to find out, the lady who does the cleaning at the gym overheard this and said, actually, there's a whole box of those things back in the storage room. And I just was so frustrated immediately. The staff member who had been in charge of disseminating those items finished out the season with us. Before she finished out the season, I guess she disseminated what she could and then put the rest of the box away and never told anybody about it. And so these parents had paid for items and never received them. And I felt incredibly frustrated because this should have been on some sort of checklist to pass out all of these items to people, and then there should be nothing in storage. People get their stuff.
So what's your fix for 2025?
So we have created a Trello board. If you guys don't use Trello, it's project management software. It's free.
It works great.
Yeah. And we created some boundaries of this is what defines a project versus a task that you're going to finish within the next week. Something that's a one-time deal. Mm-hmm. And every project will go on that board. It will have a list of to-dos with it. And the operations director will be responsible every week for looking at the board and entering in a note of follow-up.
And the neat thing is you can put a deadline on it as well. Mm-hmm. So if it's a month task, 2 months, quarter, those types of things. Yeah.
Every task should have a person assigned to it. It should have a deadline assigned to it. And we're even going to go so far as uniforms. Every uniform was passed out. Every bow was passed out. Because the other thing that does is it puts a single person in charge of a project. So this year I took on, I'm going to pass out all of the elite bows. Well, I'm coaching on the floor, so Lexi had to pass out some of them. But at the end of the day, it was my responsibility to say, here's the sheet, please sign it off, make sure that everybody got their bow. And then I would deal with any, issues of not having enough or something like that.
Yep. It doesn't mean you can't delegate and have people assist you. It just means that you're the responsible person for that task.
Yeah. Yep. And I know that sounds so silly, guys. If you're in a small gym, you're like, well, just pass out all the stuff and then get rid of the box. I know that sounds silly, but the bigger your program gets, the bigger your facility gets. It's like you have new problems that come along with solving the old problems. And that's one of the new problems that we've had.
Okay.
Number 3. We're going to focus more on investing in our junior staff. Currently, our junior staff is made up of 14, 15-year-olds. But back in the day, we used to start them way younger.
Yeah, like 10.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
10 or 12, we
Yeah.
would start identifying these athletes and pulling them in for like leadership training. And hey, we're going to do a junior coaches clinic for 10 to 12-year-olds, how to take attendance and clean mats and set up for a class and run warm-ups for preschool, stuff like that. Well, I
That was
put
your-
everything else on focus mode.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we used to do that. And a couple of years ago, we really kind of veered toward the older age group and we kind of stopped opening it to those younger ones. Well, what we're finding now is that there's a gap in adult coaches, where 2 years ago we had kids that started at that 10 to 12-year-old age range. They were coaching classes by 15, 16. They were by themselves coaching teams by 18 and 19. And because we missed that gap for a couple of years and didn't catch them young enough, we no longer have enough coaches on the team side.
So are you saying that in the future, you just, even if you have enough, you're going to continue that program?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we honestly need to be focused, like it needs to get systemized to where we're doing it a couple times a year, a junior coaching clinic to see who's interested, who could potentially be good for this, and then just start pulling them in. You know, we used to have 10-year-olds. We would do Nerf events and 10-year-olds would come pick up bullets.
Yep.
Something as small as that.
Starting out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
they love that stuff because they feel like they're responsible. They have a part in the gym that they go to. It's almost their first job.
Yep.
You know, basically working towards something. So.
And those 10-year-olds turned into 15-year-olds that could help, you know, assistant coach a tiny novice team, or they could help coach a preschool tumbling class, who then turned into 18 and 19-year-olds coaching, you know, prep and elite teams.
And the neat thing is when you start them out at 10 and move them up to 15, by the time they're 18 and stuff, they understand what a work shift is,
Yeah.
what an actual working is, and it's not, you know, sitting on their phone in the corner when nobody's looking type work. That's the kind of stuff you get from people that have never worked before and come in, and then they're expected to work an 8-hour shift or a 4-hour shift, and they're like, this is a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and if you're thinking like, well, how do you pay a 10-year-old? That's illegal. Like, I'm just trying to give them leadership training. And so it's a conversation with their parents. We see this child who is, you know, 11 or 12 years old, and we think in the next couple of years, this could be a great place for them to have their first job. We'd like to bring them in and just start teaching them some of the basic things. It'll develop leadership in them. Are you up for that? Okay, great. And you start bringing them in for events and helping with camps over the summer and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
You know, those unemployed kids, so the volunteers who are learning leadership, they don't spot things. They don't do anything on their own. So they're not a liability to you. They're like helping a kid color in a picture during a camp, you know, and picking up and cleaning up mats. They're not doing things that could like injure someone.
Right.
Yeah.
You still work according to state rules. You know, you still have 18 or older, you know,
By themselves.
running
and then-
the program and everything. But having those extra helpers is one, good for the business, but two, good for training those 10 and 12-year-olds. So,
And you're
it's
developing
just-
leaders.
Yeah, developing leadership. And also they're following whatever that 18-year-old is doing. They're literally watching and mimic him. So I can't even say it. Mimicking them. Yeah.
We're going to focus on all of the junior age groups, but really like start identifying who are those younger kids that will probably be coaches for us one day. You know, where we're in this staffing thing right now, where I'm coaching more teams than I really should, and our manager's coaching more and stuff like that. I think that maybe it won't be solved next year, but it will be solved in the coming years because we're investing in the younger staff.
Definitely. What these last two really bring out from me is a book not too long ago that I read that was basically called Extreme Ownership. But the extreme ownership is decentralized command. So you're kind of in charge of the ship, but you can't command more than 4 to 6 people at a time. And so what he talks about in there is when you have people doing different things, you need to give command to them. So they're in charge of this certain area, and you need to instruct them and train them on how to do that. And that's what you're doing when you're going through these last 2 points, which were improving staff follow through. By working with staff follow through, you're giving that person, you're taking away some of all of the command that you have, giving it to them. You're in charge of making sure that this is happening. Mm-hmm. People are following through. They're getting things done. When they have a problem, you bring it to me and let me know, hey, they are not going to be able to complete this task because of XYZ. And that way I have a role in it now to fix that. If I really want to see them accomplish that task, I need to get rid of the roadblocks in their way. Taking all of it off of your plate, not having to do everything is the way to scale. The same thing with raising up these young leaders with this junior program. You basically put somebody in charge of that. If it's not yourself, you put somebody, hey, I want you to be in charge of recruiting, getting some kids in this program, and what the program's supposed to look like. And so that you have that young crew coming through.
Yep.
So there's no gap.
Yes. And that's a good point, because the owner does not have to be the person training 10 to 12-year-olds.
No.
There are a lot of staff members in your gym who are probably qualified to do that. They may need some structure. They may need the curriculum that you want these kids to learn, but it doesn't have to be you.
And when you're first starting, it may be only 4 or 5 of them that you have in a program.
Yeah.
But later, you will have 10 to 12 of them. And you need a program. So setting it up with the 4 or 5 at the beginning, getting it squared away, but not having to do that for the rest of the time. You need to put somebody in charge of that. This is the way I want the program run. Here's what I want it to look like. And here's how it should flow. And these are the indicators that when you have an issue, I want you to tell me. But this is your program.
Right.
And so there's with that, there's little indicators along the way that they're going to tell you, like, hey, I've got 4 people in there, 3 of them are consistent, one of them is falling off. Well, it's probably not somebody that's going to be a good employee in the future.
Or they're not ready yet.
Or they're just not ready,
Yeah, that happens often, actually, at that age.
That's true.
Yeah. So guys, we told you today what we are going to be focused on in 2025. That doesn't entirely encompass. We've got a couple of building projects and just freshening things up around the gym. But you saw the process that we went through to establish our 2025 goals. And I would encourage you, take some time and figure out what are your goals going to be for 2025, because I think we fly by the seat of our pants and we are a lot of times operating day to day because we're not investing the time into looking into the future and figuring out those big goals.
Yeah, you could wear yourself out putting out fires all the time.
For sure.
And trust me, the fires never stop.
Yeah.
In a small business or in a big business, they just have bigger fires. But the fires are always there because there's always, you guys are putting yourselves out there on a limb and there's always going to be issues. Yeah. But the key to it is systemizing some of the fires that are consistent fires. You can start systemizing some stuff and putting those out permanently. And that's what you want to be doing. You
might be looking at this thinking, well, of course you guys can do so much. You've got so many owners. But like Rihanna in her main location does not have so many owners. Shelly in her location, she doesn't have multiple owners.
One person.
They still accomplish all of these things. They just do it a little bit differently than we do. They have to sit down and strategically plan and think through these things a little bit differently than we've told you that we did. So it's totally possible, and you can accomplish so much if you are continuously looking toward the future and planning to be in the future.
The key to all of this, though, was delegation. Mm-hmm. You've got to be able to delegate stuff off to other people and to help you out, because being better at social media, putting together a follow-through program, first just putting things out there, tasks that you want to do, but then having it follow through, and then also having a junior staff program and how that looks. That's a lot to do just in those 3 items right there. So delegation is that might be one of the big ones for 2025, is being able to delegate, because in order to do all these. So yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us on this episode of Fireside Chat with the Johnstons. Next week, we will be giving you a couple of things that you need in your website toolkit to make sure that your website is doing everything for you that it should. And if you're thinking like, oh, so boring, we're going to talk about website, we actually get into a lot of really cool things with marketing and even staff training.
So new and exciting things for 2025 that gyms are doing with their websites.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, all right, guys, we will see you on the next episode of Fireside Chat with the Johnstons.
Ciao.